In this video, we're going to talk about notes, journaling, and creating notebooks. So first of all, we're going to start with a blank screen here in Logos 10, and I'm going to go down to my Tools drop-down menu, and I'm going to go directly to Notes. Okay, when Notes comes up, you'll see that I already have a lot of notes already here, but what we want to focus in on is these two icons right here. The one on the left are your filters, and we'll come back at another time and talk about filters. But this time we want to talk about notes and notebooks. Okay, so I'm going to click on this icon, and it brings another dialog up called Notebooks. And to create a notebook, the first thing that we do is just simply click on the plus sign. Now, I've already done that, clicked on the plus sign, and I've created a study called For Grace, okay? And I've already, said what I want to accomplish in studying grace. I want to understand the biblical concept of grace. But now what I want to do is I want to go into my different resources and start bringing in information on the subject of grace. Okay, first thing that I'll do generally is I will go to my fact book. So I'll click on my fact book icon, and it takes me directly to grace. That was the last thing that I searched. So obviously it came up in that dialog box. So this resource, Factbook, has grace now. And what Factbook generally does is that Factbook generally pulls information from many of my resources, or basically all of the resources that I have in my library. It kind of just brings everything into one window. As you can see here, we'll look at it like this. It gives us a basic conceptual definition of grace at this point. Then it gives you a key article, and the key article in this particular instance, grace, is taken from the Lexham Bible Dictionary, and it goes into that discourse of grace. And as I scroll down a little bit more, it only gives me a portion of this particular article of grace in the Lexham Bible Dictionary. And at right at the end of this snippet, it says read more. So if I click on read more, what it does is it brings up the entire article in the Lexham Bible Dictionary. I'm dragging it over here now. So it brings up that entire article of grace. And you can see in the Lexham Bible Dictionary, it covers grace in the Old Testament, grace in the New Testament, and on and on and on. Divine and human favor, giving, gratitude, and graciousness. So it covers grace on a wide, from a wide perspective. But I want to go back, and first of all, the first thing that I want to do, I'll go back to my fact book now. First thing I want to do is I want to define the concept, or define grace. So what I'll do here is in my fact book is I'll just scroll down to my dictionaries now. And you'll see in my particular library, I have multiple dictionaries, and I'm just going to click on more just to kind of give you an idea of how many dictionaries are available to me that are covering this particular topic of grace. And the Holman, New Unger's, the New Bible Dictionary, Baker's Encyclopedia, so forth and so on. So many different resources that are speaking on grace. So what we're going to start with here is we're going to start with grace in the Baker Expository Dictionary of Biblical Words. And if I just simply hover over that word grace, it just shows me a snippet of the definition. But I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and it brings up the Baker Expository Dictionary of Biblical Words. I'm going to also move that one over to the right hand side of my screen as well. So now I can simply read through what the Baker Expository Dictionary of Bible Words has to say on the subject of grace. I can go even further. For instance, it breaks it down again into categories: Old Testament, New Testament, and so forth and so on, just like the Lexham Bible Dictionary did. But here we see that in the Old Testament there are various words that are relative to grace, and the first word that we come to here is hen. And you see a Strong's number, a Strong's Concordance number here associated with grace in the Baker Expository Dictionary. So I can just click on that number, and now it pulls up the Complete Word Study Dictionary, Old Testament. So whatever I click on, it just basically brings in that brings up that particular resource. Now I can begin to build upon this subject. And first of all, the first thing that I want to do is define grace, okay? And I would define it from the the Complete Word Study Dictionary of the Old Testament. This is a concise dictionary. So since this is just a brief definition of the word, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight that particular definition, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to create a new note, and that new note is going to appear here in our grace study. Okay, and in this particular case, it automatically pulled that definition into my new note. Okay, so let me just do this. And here's another beautiful feature about the notes window. You see these two little arrows here. What I want to do now is I want to kind of get rid of all of this other stuff over here for right now. We know that now we're studying grace in our grace study notebook. So we don't need all of this information over here anymore for the time being. So what I'm going to do is just simply click on those two arrows, and what it does is it brings up my entire window so that I can better see what's going on here. And it's automatically added an anchor point to that particular definition. So whenever I come back to this word in the Complete Word Study Dictionary, it shows that particular anchor point, and if I click on that anchor point, it'll bring me back to my notes. So now now that I have that information in my notebook, in my study, I can now make a comment on grace. I can simply type in this is the Word Study Old Testament Dictionary definition, or whatever it is that I want to type there. And in this particular pane, in this notebook, what I can do is it's just like a word processor. I can now highlight a particular word. I can make that word bold. I can change the color of that word to emphasize it. And I can go on typing. I can italicize it. So it's just like a word processor. And this is the beauty of using a notebook, is that I can go through any of my resources now, and I can select portions of a particular article, and I can copy that article, and I can now paste it in my notebook. Okay, and it always gives me a footnote at the end of whenever I copy and paste. It always gives me the footnote, or a better term for it would be a locator that tells me where that particular extraction came from. And here we can just say, let me just show you. So I'll let go of the Lexham Bible Dictionary. I'll close that, and I'll click on it again over here in my notebook, And when I click on grace, it brings back up the Lexham Bible Dictionary. Same thing over here. If I click on this, it brings it back up in the word study, the complete word study dictionary of the Bible. So this is the beauty of having a notebook or using a notebook in Logos 10. We can consolidate all of the information of our study into one window. I hope that this video was helpful to someone who, like me, was looking for a way to record your thoughts, to pull snippets from different resources within your library and consolidate them all in one place. This is an invaluable tool and resource for me in my Bible study. So again, I hope that it helps someone.